What if I told you that one of the greatest thinkers in history uncovered something so unsettling about human nature that he warned it should never be openly revealed? Carl Jung, the brilliant Swiss psychiatrist known for unlocking the secrets of the unconscious mind, discovered a truth that would forever change the way you view every person around you. This was not some ordinary self-help teaching. This was something Jung himself described as the shadow truth of humanity, a psychological reality so raw, so uncompromising, that once you recognize it, you will never look at love, loyalty, or relationships the same way again. After decades of studying human beings, Jung realized that the very people who claim to love, protect, and support you are often the same ones who forget your kindness almost immediately, yet keep your mistakes alive in memory for years, even decades. Are you ready to look behind the mask that every human being wears? Because once you see what he uncovered, there is no way to unsee it. Through years of research into the human psyche, Jung discovered what he referred to as the gratitude paradox. It was a psychological pattern that revealed the darkest reality of how our minds actually function. Imagine the situation Jung described repeatedly in his practice. You spend weeks or even months helping a friend through their most difficult times. You sacrifice your energy, your resources, and your emotional stability to keep them afloat. Yet only a short time after their crisis is over, it feels as though your effort never even existed. Think about your own life right now. Can you recall every single act of kindness others gave you last month, or even last year? The truth will disturb you. Jung found that the brain has what he called benefit amnesia, a defense mechanism that erases positive acts faster than it erases negative ones. But why would the human mind erase gratitude and hold on tightly to resentment? The reason, Jung revealed, is deeply unsettling. Remembering kindness creates an invisible psychological debt, and the ego cannot stand the feeling of being indebted. So the unconscious mind does a clever trick. It erases the memory of your good deeds. That surprise birthday celebration you planned, gone from memory within weeks. The late-night calls when they needed your emotional support, erased as if they never happened. But when you lost your patience just once and snapped under stress, that incident remains crystal clear, retold again and again with sharper detail each time. Jung once said, "The human mind is a museum of grievances and a graveyard of kindness." This was not pessimism, he insisted, it was simply psychological fact. Yet this was only the beginning. In his work with thousands of patients, Jung uncovered what he secretly called the universal deception. It was the unsettling reality that every person, no matter how kind or genuine they appear, carries unconscious motives and hidden agendas. That sweet neighbor who always greets you kindly is silently assessing whether you'd be willing to help with her groceries, or if you'd be the type to call authorities if she caused trouble. That supportive friend who seems so loyal is unconsciously measuring whether your success threatens their own sense of identity. Jung explained that this is not deliberate manipulation. It is far more subtle. Beneath every human interaction lies what he termed the shadow self, a set of unconscious motivations, ego protections, and survival calculations even the person themselves does not fully realize. Even in moments of genuine connection, our minds run hidden background programs. How does this benefit me? What can I gain from this? How do I maintain my position here? The nurturing mother who appears endlessly giving may actually be programming you, unconsciously, for loyalty so that you will care for her when she is old. The friend who never forgets details of your life may be building emotional leverage to use later when they need support. And here is the chilling truth. You do the very same thing. As you listen to these words, your own unconscious mind is calculating how this knowledge might give you an advantage in your relationships. Jung called this never-ending cycle the shadow dance. Human beings, he explained, are all using one another unconsciously while still convincing themselves that their feelings are authentic. But the darkest truth Jung discovered came in what he called conditional loyalty. Across thousands of case studies, he saw the same pattern. People's devotion and affection for others shifts constantly, tied to their present circumstances and needs. That partner who swore they would love you forever, Jung found that their love has an expiration date, one determined by how well you continue to meet their current emotional or practical needs. That group of friends who feel like family are silently measuring whether your presence enhances their social value or weakens it. According to Jung's long observations, human connections are rarely stable bonds. They are temporary agreements that last only as long as they are useful to both parties. Hidden in every relationship is an invisible scorecard, an unconscious tally of benefits and costs that decides whether the connection survives or disappears. When life changes, when you lose your job, fall sick, or simply stop being useful, the truth becomes clear. The phone calls dry up. The visits stop. Jung documented this painful reality again and again. The friends who vanish when you no longer provide entertainment or validation, the colleague who seemed loyal until your success threatened theirs, the partner who leaves once a better option appears. Jung explained that what we call love is often just the joy someone feels when their needs are being perfectly met. He called this the archaeological truth of human relationships. Dig beneath the surface of any bond, and you will find survival motives buried underneath. Perhaps the most heartbreaking of all was what Jung named the loyalty mirage. The realization that true, unconditional loyalty is not only rare but nearly impossible for most people to achieve. He developed what he privately called the loyalty test. How many people would remain by your side if you lost absolutely everything? If your health failed, your money was gone, your status crumbled, and you had nothing to offer in return, how many would still stay? Jung's answer, in most cases, was none. Not because people are evil, but because loyalty demands a level of psychological maturity that very few ever reach. Most loyalty, Jung explained, is just beneficial attachment. People stay close only as long as the bond provides emotional, social, or practical benefits. Remove those benefits and loyalty vanishes. We mistake temporary alignments for permanent bonds, Jung wrote, and then feel betrayed when people show their true nature. He gave countless examples. Colleagues who seem like close friends but quickly distance themselves during layoffs when association might cost them opportunities. Bosses who call employees family, yet discard them once they are no longer useful. Romantic partners who seem deeply committed until someone better appears. Jung revealed that true loyalty, the ability to act against one's own self-interest purely out of principle, is a rare psychological achievement. Most humans are simply not capable of it. Yet what makes this truth even more unsettling is that people themselves are unaware of their hidden motives. According to Jung, most individuals live under what he called the nobility narrative, the unconscious story they tell themselves about their own goodness while engaging in the same behaviors they criticize in others. The friend who abandons you during crisis convinces themselves they are protecting their energy. The coworker who sabotages you for a promotion believes they are just being strategic. The relative who only contacts you when they need something convinces themselves they are reconnecting. They are not consciously lying. Their shadow self is guiding their behavior while their conscious mind justifies it with noble explanations. This is why, Jung warned, confronting people about these behaviors rarely works. Their entire psychological system is designed to keep these patterns hidden, even from themselves. But here is the unsettling part. Recognizing these patterns in others inevitably forces us to face them in ourselves. That uncomfortable feeling you may be sensing right now is the realization that you too have done these very things. Jung said that true psychological maturity begins when we stop pretending we are different, when we admit that these universal human patterns live within us as well. He explained that these behaviors, forgetting kindness, holding grudges, pursuing hidden agendas, giving conditional loyalty, are not simply character flaws. They are evolutionary survival strategies. Our ancestors developed these traits because they helped ensure survival in a dangerous world. Forgetting acts of kindness protected people from exploitation. Remembering threats helped them stay alert. Hidden agendas provided survival advantage. Conditional loyalty allowed resources to be used wisely in scarce environments. The problem, Jung realized, is that our minds are still running this ancient survival software in a modern world. We pretend we live in a society built on unconditional love and genuine friendship, yet our psychology still operates with tribal instincts. This creates what Jung called the authenticity crisis. We are not truly selfless, but we cannot admit our calculating nature either. And so, we live in contradiction. Jung's final and most dangerous discovery was this: genuine human connection is only possible when we accept this shadow truth, that people are not selfless, not perfectly loyal, not free of ego, but human. We must learn to love others not despite their calculating nature, but because that very nature is part of their humanity. He found that when we let go of the illusion of permanent loyalty and selfless devotion, we stop being devastated by disappointment and start appreciating generosity when it does appear. When loyalty happens, we see it as a gift, not a guarantee. This is not cynicism. It is realism, and realism, Jung argued, is the only true foundation for love. He himself lived with this shadow knowledge for decades. He still loved, still gave, still hoped, but he did so with eyes open, never again devastated when kindness was forgotten or loyalty failed. He understood that knowing these truths gives us power, the power to give without expecting endless gratitude, to love without needing permanence, to trust without illusions, to forgive with deeper understanding. Jung believed that once we see this, we become not colder, but wiser and even more compassionate, because we no longer hold people to impossible standards. The irony, Jung said, is that when we stop expecting people to be perfect, we can finally love them as they really are. When we expect nothing, we begin to appreciate everything. When we accept the shadow, we finally see the light. But Jung also warned, this knowledge can be dangerous. Those who lack maturity may use it to manipulate, exploit, and deceive others. That is why he suggested it should be taken to the grave. It was not about hiding it from the world, but about making sure the person who carries it is responsible enough to use it wisely. In his last years, Jung worked to integrate this knowledge into what he called individuated consciousness, the ability to see the truth clearly while still choosing to love deeply. He believed the true test of maturity is not becoming cynical, but remaining capable of kindness and love while accepting human flaws. To give without expectation, to love without demand, to hope while accepting reality. Jung's final revelation was that human beings are not simply good or evil. They are human, capable of breathtaking love and heartbreaking cruelty, of wisdom and foolishness, of compassion and selfishness. Every person carries within them the entire spectrum of human possibility. This was not theory for him. He had witnessed the darkest confessions from respected citizens and the most extraordinary kindness from society's outcasts. He saw clearly that all humans contain contradictions, and that the shadow is not something to eliminate but something to accept. The person who thinks they are incapable of selfishness is the most likely to act selfishly while believing themselves noble. The one who denies cruelty is the most dangerous, because they may act with cruelty unconsciously. The greatest illusion we live under is that people can be divided neatly into good and bad. Jung showed that all of us contain both, and true love is only possible when we stop loving illusions and start loving reality. This was Jung's secret, the liberation of realizing that to love imperfect people completely is the only path to genuine connection. Not the fairy tale love of perfect partners, but the clear-eyed love that accepts flaws, contradictions, and limitations. This is the love that cannot be destroyed by disappointment or betrayal, because it was built on the understanding that those things are always possible. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop being broken when kindness is forgotten, because you know the mechanism at work. You stop taking hidden agendas personally, because you know they exist in everyone. You stop being devastated when loyalty fails, because you know loyalty is almost always conditional. Instead, you begin to value love and loyalty when they do appear, because you recognize how rare they truly are. This was why Jung said the truth should be carried to the grave, because it is sacred, not shameful. It is knowledge that grants you the power to connect more honestly, forgive more readily, and love more deeply. The responsibility lies with you. Will you use this insight to become bitter and manipulative, or will you use it to become wise and compassionate? The answer will reveal everything about who you truly are. In the end, Jung's greatest gift was the recognition that humanity, in all its contradictions and imperfections, is not something to be denied but something to be embraced. And in embracing our full humanity, we find the capacity for the deepest love, the most authentic connection, and the lasting peace we all seek.